The two big mysteries that all of us fans were left with at the end of Avatar the Last Airbender were, what would happen to Azula after her defeat, and more importantly, what happened to Zuko's mother Ursa? Thankfully, both of these questions have been answered in the official canon comics, and today we're going to dive into what really happened to Zuko's mother. So remember to subscribe for more videos just like this, and let's get into it. So the story begins with the familiar scene from the show where Ozai is speaking with Firelord Azulon, his father. This meeting came shortly after Ursa had received a tragic letter informing her that Lu Ten, the son of Iroh, had died at the siege of Ba Sing Sei. After finding out about this news, Ozai visited his father and asked him if he could take Iroh's place in the royal line of succession, since Iroh now had no descendants. Firelord Azulon was absolutely inflamed with this request, asking how he could dare ask for such a thing so soon after Lu Ten's death. As a response to this, Azulon punished Ozai by ordering him to kill Zuko, so that he would now know the pain of losing his firstborn son, just as Iroh had. An extremely cruel reaction to an extremely cruel request. Soon after this, Ursa was informed of the conversation because Azula had been secretly listening in on it. She then put Azula to bed and frantically rushed to Ozai to ask him if he would actually go through with the plan. After hearing Ozai's cold yes, Ursa was sent into a horrible panic. She frantically began planning how to save her son's life. She eventually came up with a plan that would exchange the Fire Nation throne for Zuko's life. To do this, she would mix an untraceable colorless and odorless poison, which she learned from her herbalist mother, to kill Azulon. She would then create a fake will passing the birthright of Iroh onto Ozai, making him the new Fire Lord. In exchange for this plan, Ozai ordered that Ursa leave the palace in exile, never to be seen again. He feared that if she stayed, she would use that poison on him again in the future. Furthermore, Ursa requested to take the children with her, but Ozai refused, making sure that they stayed as collateral. Should Ursa ever return or cause any trouble, they would be killed immediately. Ursa then kissed her two children goodbye and immediately ran off into the night. The first place she went to after leaving the palace was her parents' old house. Once she got there, she knocked on a door and a young girl answered. Ursa asked if Jinzuk and Rina were there, her parents, but the young girl delivered the horrible news that they had passed away many years prior. In tears and with nowhere to go, Ursa rushed to the middle of her town and visited a stage where she used to perform in her years before becoming the Fire Princess. There she silently cried to herself in silence. Sometime after, a man named Norrin approached her, believing she was looking for a part in the next play at the stage. Once he noticed her crying, however, he offered Ursa breakfast and she was happy to accept. During their conversation over breakfast, Norrin suddenly called Ursa by her name, which startled her, since she had been careful not to reveal it to anyone since leaving the palace. This made Ursa nervous and caused her to lose her appetite, so she got up and was about to leave. However, right at this moment, Norrin admitted that he was in fact a man named Ikem, which before Ozai chose her as princess was actually engaged to marry Ursa. Norrin had seen a spirit named the Mother of Faces and changed his entire appearance and identity so that Ozai could not hunt him down and kill him. After hearing this, Ursa asked Ikem why he had never gotten married since their engagement was cut short, and he simply responded by saying, "You know why." After some time reconnecting, the pair agreed that Ursa should change her own face and name too, so that Ozai could never find her and punish her for what had happened at the palace. At this point, the two then travelled through a place known as the Forgetful Valley for months without success in finding the Mother of Faces. Finally though, their luck changed and the spirit appeared. Ursa then made her request to change her appearance, but the Mother of Faces asked her why such a beautiful human such as her would want to throw away her appearance. To test if Ursa was truly willing to commit to such a change, the spirit offered her a much more plain face, and she accepted without hesitation. The Mother of Faces could sense Ursa's deep pain and offered also to wipe her mind and memory of anything having to do with her time as the Fire Princess. Ursa was initially extremely reluctant, as this would wipe the memories of her own children. But after some time, she decided that she needed to end the pain and suffering of that life. She found it too painful to always be worrying whether they were safe and sound at the palace. She then accepted, and the Mother of Faces granted her wish. So from this point forwards, Ursa dropped her old life, her old memories, and her old identity. She would now be known as Noriko. Sometime later, Ursa and Ikem, under their new names, decided to get married and start a new life together. They soon after had a daughter named Ki and lived on in a peaceful hiding for 5 years. This peaceful life, however, was interrupted when an undercover investigation party, which was Team Avatar, arrived at their residence. The main purpose of this mission was Zuko's quest to find his mother, hinted at right at the end of the Avatar the Last Airbender series. And along with Team Avatar came Azula, who was recently released out of her mental hospital to come on the mission, and that is fully explained in the video, which you will find in the description down below and in the pinned comment. And trust me, it's a good story. Soon enough though, Zuko was able to figure out that Noriko was actually his mother, and he went to go see her at her house. And do remember that at this point, Ursa still doesn't know who Zuko is, as her memories of that time have been wiped. When Zuko arrives at the house, he chooses not to tell her of the truth because she seems to be living a normal, happy family life with her new family. Ikem though stops Firelord Zuko and encourages him just to tell the truth. Eventually he tells her the full truth, that he is the Firelord and that she is her mother. But before the conversation can get much further, Azula bursts onto the scene, having gone crazy yet again, and attacks the family. Azula had still been having crazy hallucinations about her mother and thought that if she killed her, they would stop. Eventually though, Ursa pleaded with Azula and apologized for not having loved her enough, despite not even remembering it. At this point, Azula backs off and runs off, not to be seen again. But if you want to find out what happens to her, check out that vid in the pinned comment after this one. After this incident, Zuko brings Ursa back to the Mother of Faces, and she immediately agrees to have her face and memory granted back to her how it was prior. Ursa then tells Zuko too that she was so sorry for not loving him enough before setting sail with her to the Fire Nation capital, before they set sail for the Fire Nation capital, the first time she would be allowed to return since her exile. During the voyage, Aang went penguin sledding with Kiyi, and this terrified Ursa, as it probably would any mother. When Ursa went to hug her daughter though, Kiyi pushed her away, completely struggling to recognize her mother's new face. She even refused to touch the doll that Ursa had handcrafted for her at all since her face change. Soon after this, a messenger hawk arrived on the ship sent by the Kyoshi warriors. Upon reading the message, a sense of shock swept across Zuko's face, which deeply worried his mother. Although he didn't tell her what the message contained, she could see that Zuko was very concerned. There had been a change of plans. The next day, a submarine popped up next to their ship, and out popped Uncle Iroh and Suki. Iroh and Ursa were stunned to see each other again after so long, and Iroh apologized for the pain that his family had caused her. The two then hugged, and Ursa assured him that there was no need for an apology, as Iroh's presence had always given her hope. After this, the group arrived at the palace, but Ursa was extremely hesitant to enter the Great Hall for the first time since her exile. She was still scared and anxious about the last time she was there and what had gone down. Zuko even offered her to stay in her old bed, but she declined, not wanting to bring back those old memories. She was even more startled after she came across Ozai's painting in the royal gallery. Later, as the night deepened, Ursa and Ikem settled down while Zuko moved Kiyi to a different room as she didn't want to be with her mother. However, this decision unwittingly exposed Kiyi to danger, as she was soon abducted by Azula, who had cunningly disguised herself as a Kimurakage, a spirit from Fire Nation folklore. The tranquil night was shattered by the sounds of conflict erupting outside the palace. Ursa and Ikem were abruptly awakened, their hearts sinking as Zuko broke the distressing news. Their daughter Kiyi had been snatched away. The parents, gripped by fear and uncertainty, clung to each other in a tight embrace, a silent testament to their shared anguish. In the midst of this turmoil, Ursa found herself alone, cradling Kiyi's doll, a reminder of the daughter now missing. Her solitude was soon interrupted by the arrival of Iroh, who had come swiftly via airship. The air heavy with unspoken words, Ursa finally voiced her deep-seated fear, that Kiyi might never truly accept her again, now that her face had changed. Iroh, ever the wise and comforting presence, urged her not to lose hope. He shared his own heartache over the loss of his son Lu-Ten, confessing that such grief never truly fades. His words offered a solemn reminder: parents cannot always shield their children from harm, but they can equip them to face their fears with clarity and courage. Thankfully, soon after this, Kiyi was rescued, and the mother and daughter finally embraced once more, and Kiyi accepted her doll back. After this, Ursa gathered the strength to visit Ozai in his cell, marking the first time she would see him since the exile. Iroh escorts Ursa there, and after asking her if she's truly ready, reminds her to stand strong and show no fear of her former husband. The once mighty Firelord, now reduced to a mere shadow of his former self, hurled threats and vitriol at Ursa. Yet she saw through his bluster, recognizing him for what he truly was: a man who had never truly cared for his family or even himself, a man who tried to appear larger than life but was in truth very small. Turning away from his cell, she left him, calling out in desperation, a pitiful figure clinging to the remnants of his lost power. Following this, Ursa was relieved to finally have confronted her past. Now it is all behind her. She returned to her family in the palace, and from that point, her story in canon ends there. Hope you guys enjoyed the story. If you did, hit the sub button, and I'll see you in the next video for plenty more stories just like this.